Hello ABAP guys, how are you doing? Hope you are having a good day. This is Nagendra. Welcome back to another video. Previous video we have seen how to get your free ABAP trial instance on cloud, and we have also connected to the cloud using Eclipse. At this stage we are all set to create our first free application on ABAP cloud environment. Let's begin. In this video we are going to create our first database table and also our first CDS view on top of database table. For the sake of simplicity, I'll create a very basic CDS view. Before we dive in, let's have a look at what we have discussed in the introduction of RESTful programming model. When you look at this diagram, data modeling is the first step that we need to start with. So how do we do data modeling? Using CDS view. CDS views are actually created on top of database table. This is the reason we'll create a sample table on top of that, and also we'll create a CDS view. If you look at the diagram, data modeling and behavior is the section that we are going to start. The first step we are going to do is data modeling, which is creation of CDS view. As I said, CDS views are created on top of tables. So we'll create a table and we'll create a CDS views on top of that. So in this entire series, whatever the section that you are seeing in this diagram, like business service provision, service consumption, all these steps will be performed in the future videos. So please be sure to subscribe and like so that you will get notifications whenever I upload a new video regarding all this. Now, without further ado, let's go back to Eclipse and we'll start creating our first table. Now we are into Eclipse. This is my project that we have created in my previous video. If you haven't seen it, please go back to that video and create your trial instance, and I have explained how you can connect to ABAP Cloud. So whenever we first expand this project, if you're if you're open for the first time, it will ask you for the credentials. Right now I have already logged in, so it's not asking me. So externally we have created a package called ABAP for Geeks. That package I have added here. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create a table in Eclipse itself. Usually when you have to create a table in your SAP GUI, we'll go to SC11 and we'll use a tool for creating the tables and we'll define keys and everything. When it comes to ABAP development in Eclipse, it is far better than how we used to create in SC11. By this example, you will get an idea how you are going to create a table. First, I will right click on my package, select new, go to other ABAP repository object, type database table. So under dictionary folder, you will find a database table. Now select that one, click on next, give a table name. I will say sales master, sales order master. I'll provide the description as well. Click on next, and it will ask you to choose the request which you want to include this object, and I'll click on finish. So by default I'll get these annotations and my table name will be defined like this. Whatever the example that we are going to discuss as part of this series, I have created a GitHub profile where you can find all the sample codes. Let me show you. This is a place where you can find all the sample codes that we are going to discuss in this series. The first thing, sample sales order table. This is a table that I'm going to create. You can simply copy this and paste it in your Eclipse IDE. Since we have copied it, we need to change the table name here. What was the table name that we have given? It is sales master. If you observe, we have different annotations here: ABAP catalog.enhancement category, table category, delivery class, data maintenance. This is how we actually create an SC11 where we have all these options delivery class data maintenance. Here we just need to simply add the annotations. If you want to find out more about the annotation and a documentation of the each property, you can simply do a control space next to this value, and if you mouse over on the value, you can see the documentation specific to that property. So this is how we will create a table. You can see we have different keys and also ABAP data types that we have used created on. And if you observe this one, we have a semantics annotation amount dot currency code. What we are telling the system is the field total sales. This is where actually we show the total sales that happen, whether it can be 1000 or 2000 sales or 100,000 sales, depends on the if you are if they are in USD dollars or euros. This is where we will display. So in order to match the currency code to this particular field, we have to specify a semantics annotation. What we are saying here, this is a currency code. We are attaching a currency code to this particular total sales. How are we telling? We are telling in this table, the table currently that we are using, let me change the name, which is actually master. So we are pointing to the currency code field in this table. That means the total sales fields will have the currency code specific to this column. Whenever you want to display a total sales with currency code, system will be able to identify both of these fields will be displayed as concatenated, like total sales. If the total sale value is 1000 and the dollar currency code is USD, you can see the value as $1000 USD. In this way, this annotation is very helpful to display the currency value. Now, how do we activate this? You can click on Control F3 as usual. Now my table has been created. If I want to have a look at what are the entries in this table, I can do a F8. Right now we do not have any entries in this table, that's why we are seeing nothing. Now we will populate some data in this table and we will create a CDS view on top of that. And there is a limitation here, since we are using a trial instance. I cannot create a Z program and write a code to insert some values in this. Let me check. Let me show you why we are not able to see that option. So if I try to create a Z program, let's type source code library. Here you can see there is a limitation here. We can create class, function group, function module, but there is no option for report program. So for this purpose, there is a way we can insert some values using by implementing an interface. Let me show how we can do that. So for that, I'll create a class. Next, I'll say ZCL insert sales master. We are populating the sales data. I'll choose the request and I'll click on finish. Now let me go back to my GitHub profile and check the code to populate the data. I have already created one file. In this file you can see the sample code, how to create the sales data. So what I will do is I'll simply copy this and I will paste it here. So what I need to do is I need to also change the name here. Let me do format the code and do the syntax check. So you can see some syntax error. Let me check what are those. So actually it is differing from the class name that we have created. I'll change this. I think now we are good. Let me do again Control F2, no syntax error. Let me activate this. Now my class is activated. What exactly we are doing here is we are trying to insert some records. Since we do not have the option to create Z program in this trial version, I have to create a class. In this class, without any help of GUI, we can directly insert the records. So there is an interface called if_OOADT class run. If you want to know more about this interface, click F3 by placing the cursor on the name, and you can see the description here. It provides a lightweighted solution for executing an ABAP program without launching integrated SAP GUI. So this interface will be very useful if you want to execute some action. If you want to execute some code which you cannot do in ABAP program. So this interface is very useful if you want to execute a lightweighted solution, if you want to execute an ABAP program without launching integrated SAP GUI. Now let me go back to my class. So here in this interface, there is a method called main. All you have to do is just write whatever the code that you want to execute within this method. So here what I am doing is, if you observe here, the 20th line, I'm simply looping 10 times and populating the IT sales table. This is my internal table, and here I'm just increasing the sales number and customer number, and also created on date and total sales as well. So I'm just simply multiplying with by 10 just for sample data. So before I actually insert, I will delete previous records if there are any, and I'm simply inserting the data from my IT sales table. So to make sure that data is inserted successfully, I am providing a message here: sales order data inserted successfully. So this statement that we see here at the 40th line, out and hyphen out, this statement that you see at the 40th line is usually used to display the message in the console itself instead of GUI. How do we run this class? All you have to do is simply click on F9. Once the data is inserted successfully, you can see the message in the console like sales order data is inserted successfully, sales order data inserted successfully. Now if I go back to the table, if I refresh, let me check the refresh button. Yes, here I think it's not yet updated. Let me go back to the table here and do F8. Still the data is not updated. Can anybody guess? Because I have given a different table here. This is the reason. This is the issue with copy paste. Sales order master. Now I'm good. I'll activate the table again. Activate the class again. It's saying Z sales order master is unknown. It is just Z sales master. I'll activate the class. Now I'll run this class by click on F9. Before I execute again, I also have to change this name as well. G sales master. Also here at the select statement, master. And I'll click on Control F3. I'll execute the code. F9. Here I can see the successful message which is displayed on ABAP console. Now if I go back to my table and click on F8, I can see the data which is available. So far we have successfully created our first table in ABAP Cloud. So now all we have to do is create a CDS views on top of that. Let's do it. Before that, let me close all these unwanted tabs because we are done with inserting the data. How do you create CDS views? Right click on your package, new, other repository object, search core data services. Here you can see the core data service folder and we have a data definition. Click on it, select the data definition, click next, give a name. I'll say ZC sales master and sales order. If you're wondering what is ZC, C is actually nothing but consumption. And we'll come to know in future videos what exactly is a consumption means. For now, we'll keep it aside. Z sales order, I'll say just a master view. Click on next. Choose a TR, click on next. If you want any predefined templates, you can select here. For now, I'll take a simple one here, so you can, it will by default, this template will be inserted in your editor. Click on finish. So this is my template which has been copied, and now all we have to do is create a CDS view on top of our table. Now if we look at this definition, we have the statement called define view and the view name here, CDS view name, as select from the data source name. Data source name is nothing but our table that we have created now. This works perfectly fine when you are working with SAP programming model for SAP Fiori. But when it comes to ABAP Cloud, when you're developing for ABAP Cloud, you have to specify this as a root view. We cannot create as a just a define view, so that the environment will identify that this is a root view that we have created for this table. So this is the statement that we need to use when you're developing for ABAP Cloud. So please remember, we have to define root view, not just define view. So this sample code also available in my GitHub profile. I will copy this. Let me paste it here. I'll paste it here. Now I'll change the name. So this is ZC my view, ZC sales master. This is my CDS view name, and this is my table name. For now, forget about these two statements. I'll explain later. So let me copy this, delete from here. Here you need to give a name for the SQL view name. So whatever the CDS view that you created here, there will be a dictionary object will be generated in ABAP repository. You can give a different name. You can say Z view underscore sales. These fields also we can comment for now. I'm not explaining this right now because it will confuse people who are who are new to creating a CDS view. So let me comment this. Okay, now my CDS view is ready. Now click on, let's do a syntax check, F8. Now we need to execute this CDS view. All you have to do is click on F8, and this will bring the data from my sales master table. This is fine. So just now I have deleted the associations, right? So what is the purpose of those associations? Now if I look at the data here, we have the sales order and the customer who has ordered this sales order. And suppose if I want to navigate to the customer information, I have this customer number. From here I want to navigate to the customer information, like what is the name of this customer, from which city he or she belongs to, and what is the zip code, and all the details of the customer. So right now my CDS view is just associated to my sales master table, and we have to link these tables to my customer table so that the information will be pulled from the customer table. What we have to do is, let me remove this one as well. First we'll go with the single association. Here if you observe this, I am defining an association to the customer table. So this customer table actually holding the customer information, and I'm providing a name for the association. So it is always a good practice to give name starting with underscore, the name of the association. It is not mandatory, you can give whatever the name you want, but it is better to follow this naming standard when you are creating an association. So I'm providing an alias name for this association, and for my customer in this table G sales master, I'm providing the condition. So for each customer in my Zeal sales order, you need to bring the customer information. So this is how you will define the projection. So if you want to access the customer information from this table, this association is directly linked to this table. You can specify the association name here, just like how I did here. So this will actually bring the customer information, and let me uncomment this one as well, Control 7, and let me do this one as well. Let me end this. So if you look at here, customer city we will be fetching from the customer table, which is DMO and I underscore customer. We are using an expression here like concatenate the customer first name and last name and displayed as a customer name. This is an expression which we are using at the field level. Now if I activate this and click on F8, let's see if you get the information from customer as well. Z sales master is inactive. The CDS view is not activated. I will activate this. Now I will click on F8. Here I can see the customer name number, and also I can see the city which the customer belongs to, and the customer name, which is the concatenation of both first name and last name. I have formed this column using the expression at the field level itself. As I said earlier, I want to navigate from the customer data. So I want to dig more to the customer information. I want to navigate to the customer information. Even though we have displayed a couple of fields, I would like to know more details about the customer. So how do I navigate? If you do a right click, follow association, and it will show the association to that particular customer. And you can click on that and you will see all the details pulling from that particular table. So this is the advantage of the association. So you can navigate from your specific field to a more detailed information using association. A single table can have more than one association. We have also one more association we can define. Let me delete this one. This is about the currency information. If you want to know more about the currency details, here also you can define another association, and this way you can define as many association as you want, so that you can navigate from this table, this CDS views, to different tables. I hope you are getting my whatever the explanation that I'm giving here, and if you start practicing, I think it will be more easy for you. And now let me do an F8. Now I have defined two associations. I should be able to navigate to two different directions. Follow association. From here I can go to currency information. So whatever the currency that we have here, we have currency USD, and this is the currency information that being pulled from a different table. And also I can navigate to customer information by selecting the respective association name. I think if you feel little too much, and you can remove these associations for now till you get comfortable with this, and you can simply create a CDS view in this. So that's it for this video, and we have created a table and we have created a CDS view on top of it. And the next video, the interesting part, where we actually expose the CDS view to the UI. For that we need to create UI annotation for this CDS view, and that will be an interesting episode, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe for more videos.